Hey, what's up guys, Tony here, and I just want to quickly give you guys an intro to this video because the video, you can see, it's about 18 minutes long or so. The commentary itself is only about 12 minutes thereabouts because I recorded this before I even had a video to put up, and I assumed that I had a video, or at least gameplay, that was long enough for the commentary, and it turns out that I didn't. So what I had is Tony Miller, and I said, yeah, why not put it up there? So anyways, it's running a little long. Sorry about that, and I mean, if you guys want to stick around and watch it into the game, that's great. But the main gist is about that 12-minute period, so enjoy. Hey, what's up guys, Tony here, and I thought what I would do is bring you guys a commentary that is slightly less serious, given the fact that the last commentary I did was about death and dying and euthanasia and all that stuff. So, as the title says, this is What Kind of Drinker Are You? And I'm not trying to like do one of those like funny, you know, some of the commentators I've noticed have been doing like these really weird, like, goofy commentaries, I guess, because part of this is going to have a serious tone to it, and like I've said before, I like those commentaries that have sort of a serious tone, sort of thought-provoking commentary, stuff like that. But there is a little fun involved, and I was thinking about this tonight because while at work, there was a DUI checkpoint right around the corner from my work, and so being a delivery driver, you know, all of us drivers like, man, we're gonna have to drive through that. It's gonna be a pain in the ass, and they're looking for drunks, and you know, basically the reason why they have the DUI checkpoint there. I mean, they also check for like license, registration, all that other stuff too. If you're not drinking, they'll probably usually ask you for that and cite you if you don't have it. So, anyways, then we got talking about just drinking, and you know, the work conversation spiraled into this longer conversation. So I thought, man, that actually might make a good commentary. And so basically I thought about this. The first part of it is like the serious part. Now, for those of you guys who aren't in the United States, I'd like to know what your country's drinking policy is. So I've heard Canada is like 18, Mexico's 18. I know that for sure. I think in Europe it's 18 as well. But of course here in the States it's 21. And this is what I got thinking about. There are stages to full citizenship. And I made a joke with some people before about adulthood, because there was someone I know turned 18. I was like, oh, cool, you're almost a full adult. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're 18, you know. You're just not a full adult yet. You're not in the club, if you will. Because, you know, when you start out, when you're born with your basic American, or you can call them human rights. You know, your right to live and, you know, own stuff, and your right to be here, and all the things that we take for granted. But when you turn 18, that's when you're granted the right to vote, because you can't vote before you're 18, so you don't really have all your rights. And I was going to include cars, like driving, but that's a privilege, you know. To have a license is a privilege. That's not really a right. You don't have the right to drive. It's a privilege. The state allows you to drive. You know, by getting a license, they're saying you are proficient enough to drive a vehicle on our streets. And if you don't have the license, you can't drive, because it's not a right. It's just a privilege. So I can't include that. But there are stages. So like I said, you're born with these certain amount of rights when you're born. You're born with a certain amount of rights. And then when you turn 18, you get more rights. You get enfranchised. You get the right to vote, which is really important. I mean, that people have been fighting over the right to vote in the republic, because contrary to popular belief, we don't have a, quote, democracy. Our system of government is actually a representative republic with democratic values. There we go. But anyway, so yeah, you get the right to vote at 18, but you don't get full citizenship until you're 21, and that's when you get the right to drink. And then you're a full citizen once you're 21. So it's like when you're 18, you're like 2/3 of a full citizen. You're not quite there yet, and then you get that last third when you turn 21, and bam, you're a full citizen. And I don't, personally, this is my own personal belief, I don't really think that's a great way to do business, because we have a volunteer military. So at age 18, when you can vote, and sometimes at the age of 17, before you're, you know, quote, an adult, with consent from your parents, you can join the military. But I don't know if they do that anymore. I've heard it's still there, but it used to be something you could do in the past. So at 17, you can get a waiver, join the military. But now I think they have a requirement. You have to have you be a high school graduate. So typically means you got to be 18. The point is, at the age of 18, you can sign up to defend the country, but you can't drink yet. So you can go overseas, and it's happened. You can go overseas, and it's been going on for a long time, and you'll fight for your country, and you'll die before you're allowed to drink. And so, personally, the way I see it, I don't think it's fair that service men and women, 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, 3 years. There's 3 years if you're going to join the service, or just for all regular citizens. There's 3 years in there that you're not really allowed to drink. You know, you can't buy alcohol. You're not allowed to possess alcohol. You're not even allowed to have a drop of alcohol in your system at any time. It's illegal. And I don't think that's right. I really don't. I think that really the drinking age should be 18. Like, if you can vote, which is really important. Like, people today are fighting and dying over the right to vote. It's really important. So we give the right to vote at 18, but you gotta wait a little longer to drink. So it's like, we're trusting you to make very important decisions about domestic policy, who's going to be president, who's going to be a congressman, what laws you want passed, but you can't drink, which is a social thing, you know? Anyways, I find it to be backwards. You think the right to vote, now I'm not saying I think that the voting age should be 21, but I'm saying that if you were to entrust somebody with one of two options, like something that's really important, like voting, and something that's not really important, like drinking, you say, which one should the more mature mind handle? I would say voting. And I know there's a lot of factors that go into drinking too, because there's, with driving and all sorts of other things, you're like, well, you know, maybe a more mature mind should be responsible for their driving. But people get DUIs all the time. Like, even older people get DUIs. So that doesn't really, that sort of argument cancels it, that particular argument out. So anyways, yeah, my thing is, bam, I think drinking age should be 18. I really don't. There's some parts of this about our country that I don't like, the conservative nature of some of those things. So I think I'm going to do a commentary about pot later on, but it's on my mind right now. So anyways, I want to get into the fun part of it. So there's the serious part. Serious part over. Let's get on to the fun part. I'm a social drinker. I don't have any alcohol in my house. And it's not that I'm against it or some sort of moral qualms about it. I just don't have any in my house because I don't really feel a need to drink a beer. You know, like I'll drink a soda before I drink a beer. And sometimes even when I go out, I prefer soda over a beer. And there's a couple of factors because I've had some really bad hangovers. And the other thing is it's partly because of the hangovers. I don't like to feel like crap. You know, I've noticed over the years, it's probably because like I do drink a lot of sodas, and I do drink a lot of water too. But sometimes like I'll drink more soda than water, which is bad. But I've noticed at those times, if I do go out drinking, I don't have enough water, you know, enough nutrients in my system, and for me, beer just like totally saps whatever nutrients are in my body, and I get really bad hangovers. Yeah, so I'm a social drinker. And it's really kind of weird because it's not in my family. Like, my dad has beer all the time at his house, at my parents' house. My brothers, both my younger brother, always have beer on tap. My older brother is like, he's got to always have beer in the house. You know, that's his kind of a thing. I don't know why. But for me, it's not that important, and I don't know why. It's really weird. So yeah, I'm a social drinker, but and I'm less wild than I used to be. I used to be crazy wild with my drinking, and that's probably why I turned into a social drinker. But yeah, like when I was 21 to, well, I guess I started earlier than that, but I didn't really, like, my mom, my parents, they taught me really well. When I was younger, my dad, on New Year's, when we were younger, my dad would let us have a beer on New Year's, just one beer. And my dad was a Marine, by the way, so like he had some outrageous like Marine Corps parties when we were growing up with all his buddies and stuff, and they used to get just hammered, and my friend Kim would say schmammered. Anyways, yeah, so they get really drunk. My mom and my dad used to drink a lot. And so we would be able to have a beer. And so I remember I was like 14 or 15, and I couldn't really drink a beer. It was really nasty. It was like, oh, this is really gross. But then every year, so like from my 14 to 15, I was able to like drink half a beer. And so 15, 16, I could drink a whole beer and like tolerate it. But yeah, I only drink like that once a year. Now my brothers, my older brother, my younger brother, were a little different. Like my younger brother used to drink my dad's alcohol and then hide the bottles under his bed when he was in high school. I didn't really drink when I was in high school. You know, I just didn't. I did some drinking after high school, so I was like 18, 19, and I guess that was sort of my experimental age. I was drinking and I was smoking pot and I was doing all sorts of stuff. Just kind of like what you do when you're in your late teens and your early 20s. But even at that, it was only in a social environment, you know. I didn't feel this need. Even when I turned 21, I didn't feel this need to like go out and buy beer, you know. It was sort of like a rite of passage. Like when I was turned 21, you know, I went out drinking and then bought some beer and, you know, I got carded and I was like, yeah, I got carded. Woo, that was awesome. But then when I was 22, so when I was like 22 to 24, I was living and I had my own place, and that was different. Like when I had my own place, then it was like I had beer at the house all the time with my roommate. We'd go out drinking all the time, and you know, we did some things we probably shouldn't have done, like been intoxicated and, you know, drove drunk. But I don't endorse that. Like usually I'm really good about it, but we live really close to where the bars were. And if anyone's familiar with Santa Barbara, we lived off of State Street. State Street is the main thoroughfare, if you will, of there's all the bars are on South State Street. And so we lived really close to State Street, and so we one night we just sort of chanced it, I guess. You know, I was feeling good enough to drive, and I was like, I'm good. But after I got home, I was like, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was really stupid. So don't drink and drive. That like, I'm not trying to make that sound like a good thing. So, anyways, yeah, I'm a social drinker, and that's just the way I am. And then here I am now. Like I said before, I'm 29. I just don't. Sometimes I just don't feel like going out. You know, you're just like, man, I just don't really feel like going out and drinking. But you know, I still go out every time I go to a ball game, barbecue. You know, it's kind of like the thing. You know, you have a beer, barbecue, eat some food. You know, shoot the shit, have some drinks. But yeah, it's always in a social environment for me. So I'm really interested to see what sort of pops up in the comment section. You guys a social drinker, or are you like a hard drinker, or do you have beers at home? Do you have alcohol at home? What's your preference? I actually kind of like wine too. I'm like a white wine guy. Not much of a hard alcohol kind of guy. You know, if I were to choose a hard alcohol, it would be like a amaretto. Like a Di Serono is a really good amaretto that I like, but it's not really. It's like cherry. It's a fruity. It's like a fruity alcohol. It's not like whiskey. You know, I don't have whiskey on top, or I guess vodka's good too. Anyways, this is getting really long. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the comment section. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll talk to you later.
First pitch fastball off the plate there, and it's ball one.
One of the rare times that he has not started a hitter with strike one.
Hit hard down the right field line, but a foul ball. And this is fouled back and out of play. Bases are empty, one man out. Here's a hard hit ball ripped down the first base line. But this is a foul ball as the count holds steady at 1-2. Outside, awfully close, 2-2.
Looked like he might have flinched there just a little bit behind the plate. I think he wanted to pull the trigger and ring him up, but then thought better of it.
And a full count as that misses. It's 3-2 now.
Yeah, maybe a little frustrated after that last call didn't go his way. Now he's got to make sure he doesn't lose him here on 3-2.
And a close pitch there on 3-2, but home plate umpire Porter Callahan isn't buying it. It's ball four. Off the plate, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, we've seen this before. Fastballs in and breaking balls away. That's been his MO throughout the first half of this game.
Heppinger on to first as they get the double play to get him out of the inning. We'll join this one here in the bottom of the 6th, already in progress. First offering on the way. Henry Cabrera is in to start things off here as he looks at a called strike. It's 0-1.
And now as a pitcher, you just got to go out there and do what you can. Then wait for your ball club to get you some runs.
Fouled back. Ready with another 0-2. And a slider. Oh, got a favorable call on that one, as that's the first out of the inning. Fred James will stand in. A strikeout victim his first time, and then a base hit last time around. And here's another first pitch strike, and he's just running roughshod right through this lineup.
They just have not put up much of a fight. I totally agree. He's had his way out there from the word go.
Now a foul tip at the plate, and you can hear that one ring off the catcher's mask as he stays alive. And this pitch is up and in as he backs away. It's ball one. The pitch. And they'll try to get him fishing there, but he won't offer in the dirt, and it's back to even at 2-2.
Boy, and that never even threatened the strike zone. You at least got to make him sweat a little.
But this is going to be hauled in out there at second base for out number 2. Justin Turner will try it again. He's grounded out and struck out in 2 trips. Breaking ball for a strike, 0-1.
And he's looking for his first hit of the game to try to push his hitting streak up to 5 games.
Outside for a ball, 1-1. Swung on and hit softly on a line, but foul. And the slider here is laced into right field for a base hit. Josh Bennett will dig in. He singled his last time around. Below the knees, 1 ball, no strikes. And with just 5 2/3 innings under his belt, he's about to hit the century mark in his pitch count now. Still won't get him to fish downstairs, and it's 2-0 now.
Now he's going to get a visit from his catcher just to make sure he's all right. But this might actually be more of a stall tactic here. I mean, his pitch count, it's starting to get up there, so this might just be to buy a little time for that bullpen.
He's set, now the pitch. And this misses, so that'll fill the count at 3-2.
Now on 3-2, you got to go with your strength.
Line hard to the left side. But this is a foul ball. The 3-2 one more time. Rolled foul off to the left, so they'll try it again. Swinging a ball hit on the ground, but this will get foul, so they'll do it again. 3-2. And this pitch misses for ball 4, so that's going to move a runner into scoring position now with 2 away. Brian Villarreal will come on in relief now as he'll make his 10th appearance of the season. So that'll wrap things up here tonight. For Dave Campbell, Eric Karros, and our entire crew, I'm Matt Vasgersian. This has been a presentation of MLB.